Good morning, everyone. We are Good Morning Games. My name is Jason,
And I'm Alex.
and we're going to talk about some gaming news. And specifically with this podcast, we're going to be talking about mainly Nintendo's 2021, what's scheduled so far, and then some things that we think are going to come out after that, and just speculate a little bit, but just kind of talk about what they have and what's came out already. So, to start, let's talk about Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury that came out last month in February. So I didn't get this. So Alex, if you want to talk about this, go ahead.
So this came out February 12th. I think anybody who uh, has wanted to play it has probably played it by now. But it's a pretty much straight port of 3D World from the Wii U. They made some little changes. The characters move faster. That game's great. I would give it like an 8 out of 10. I had the Wii U one, but I enjoyed playing it again on Switch. I breezed through it in just a few hours. It's not very challenging, but fun game. And then Bowser's Fury is really cool. It's sort of like an open world Mario, sort of a Mario build that we haven't seen before. And a lot of people are predicting this is like a proof of concept for where they might take the series in the future. So that's pretty cool. The Bowser's Fury aspect of it, where Bowser just randomly appears and this heavy metal music starts playing, and there's like fire raining from the skies, and you can turn into a giant cat Mario. It's kind of like this Godzilla, giant Bowser versus giant Mario scenario. It's kind of tight. Really fun game. Happy I picked it up. Good way to start the year for Nintendo. They have a pattern of releasing Wii U ports for the Switch every January or February. A couple years ago, we got new Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. Last year was
Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and then they also had that Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX, but I think that was a 3DS port.
Yeah.
Um, and what else did they do? So Xenoblade, I don't know, but they've been doing these Wii U ports pretty regularly in January, February. What do you think they might do next year in 2022 for their Wii U port? What's left? I feel like they've ported everything.
Yeah, I think like the only three, there's like three I can think of, which would be Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD were both, which
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll probably talk about that later for Zelda's 35th. And then the only other one I can think of um, is, well, I guess I can think of two. Xenoblade Chronicles X, which I never played, um, but a lot of people said it was a lot different. You were in like mechs and it got really good reviews. So people have said that. And then the other one I could think of is um, StarFox Zero, but I know that was super dependent on the gamepad, so I don't know if that'll work or not.
Yeah, I think Star Fox Zero would be a cool one, but yeah, you're right about the gamepad being a huge part of that game. I would personally would love to see Wii Sports come to the Switch. Just
Oh, also
a
Nintendo Land.
collection.
Nintendo
Yeah,
Land would be
Nintendo.
sick. That was a great game.
Yeah, yeah, Nintendo Land would be cool. Again, there was some gimmick stuff with the Wii U gamepad that might be hard, but yeah, that would be if they could bring that over. I'd be really happy about that. Yeah, I think those and the Zelda games are the only ones left. But
You know. So then moving on, just this past week, past Friday, Bravely Default 2 came out. So I got that. I now am probably like 20 hours into it. I've been playing it pretty much nonstop since it came out. I love this type of game. For those who don't know, so Bravely Default originally was like a spin-off of Final Fantasy. I think that they were trying to make a spin-off. It was going to be called something with Final Fantasy in the title. I think it was a sequel to something called Final Fantasy: The Four Heroes of Light. And so it's a different game, but the similar themes, the similar items like the Phoenix Down and like potions, things like that. But it's a classic JRPG. Um, and I just kind of wanted to point out some of the things that I've noticed, like 20 hours in, that I really like. For one, there's a card game called B&D that you play. Random people will play with you. You can ask to play with them, and it's really similar to the card game in Final Fantasy IX. If anyone's played that, but you're trying to kind of like you're placing cards in different areas and trying to box character monsters in, and I don't know, it's a card game but it's awesome. And so I've been finding like every town I go to, it's kind of supposed to be this small part, but I find everyone who will play with me, and when you win you get to take one of their cards. So every time I see someone I play them until I have every single one of their cards. So I've spent like a third of the game just playing this card game. um Another really
That sounds
two other
fun.
cool, yeah, two other really cool things. I've noticed that there's a lot of like side quests, but it's kind of that where like the side quests are can be really big. Like I did a few that were kind of labeled as side quests, but then there's like cutscenes and there's a full boss. So I just thought that was really cool for like a kind of like a, I don't know, this type of game. It's not like an open world game really, so I thought that that was cool. And then finally, I just wanted to talk about, they have this feature where um, before you shut your game off, if you go, each town has like a lady who will rent you her boat, and so you go to her before you shut it off and say, "Yeah, I want to rent the boat." And then when you're, as long as your Switch is just in sleep mode, when you come back, um, you'll have gotten all these items, and like you turn it on, and the lady, and it'll be like, you went to an island and found a person. You did this. You did this. You got in a battle here. You did this. You found a treasure chest on this island. And so you just get all these items. So it's just kind of nice. Like the other night, I left it for like 12 hours and just had so much stuff when I woke up that it was like, oh, sweet. So I don't know. I just thought that was a really cool thing that I think would
That's
be
awesome.
that it's a good idea to like add to other games. I feel like it's just like, I don't know. It's just a little thing, and it's not like it's like anything game breaking. Like they don't give you huge items, but just enough where it's really cool. So yeah, I've really been liking this. If you like JRPGs or just RPGs in general, I'd say to give it a try.
That's cool. I like when games do that thing where they keep going even after you turn it off. Kind of how, obviously very different game, but like how Animal Crossing, the world is still going as you're
Mm-hmm.
not playing. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a cool aspect that more games should utilize.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, next major release for the Switch, uh, March 9th, we have Apex Legends coming out, and this has been out for 2 years, roughly 2 years on the PlayStation and Xbox. Um, they're on season 8 now, which is hard to believe, of Apex Legends. I remember playing this when it first dropped. Really fun online shooter game. They have a very like healthy and active online community still, and I think this is a really good get for the Switch. I think it'll be like a healthy shot in the arm for the online community to bring even more players on to this game. So yeah, chances are you've played it by now. But if you're brand new to Apex Legends or only have a Switch, this is a good time to jump in. Um, yeah, good game.
Definitely. And then on the 12th, it's Crash 4. It's about time. So for those of you who are big fans of Crash Bandicoot or are new, I was a huge fan. Some of my first gaming memories were with the PlayStation 1. So I did get this on the Series X, and I really wish that I didn't, because it's the type of game that would be much better on the Switch, because it's just, you know, little levels, and kind of want to play it in bed. So I might end up buying it again. So I'm kind of pissed off that I got it. Uh, yeah. So and for those of you who are familiar or aren't, I mean, Crash Bandicoot had a ton of games, but the first three on the original PlayStation were the really popular ones, and they were the best ones by far. And then they've released a bunch after that that have all been pretty garbage. And and
Yeah,
that
there have been some bad Crash games for
yeah.
sure.
So
Some
and
good ones, but
yeah,
a
and
lot
I
of
think
bad ones.
those first three were all by Naughty Dog, and they sold the property to Activision, and so then they got new developers, and that's kind of why. But this game, even though it's not Naughty Dog, it's definitely Toys for Bob made it, and they specifically wanted to make it feel like how it used to. So, and I think it does a really good job. It's it feels just like the old ones, if not better. I've heard a lot of people who are huge Crash fans say it's the best one that's ever been made. So that's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I might pick that up. I haven't played that yet. Um, Yeah, coming next on March 26th, we have Monster Hunter Rise. This is a Switch exclusive. I'm not a huge Monster Hunter fan. I played the one for Switch that came out a couple years ago. Didn't really hook me. Totally get the appeal. You know, it looks like it could be fun if you have a group of friends to play with, going taking down huge monsters and stuff like that. I've heard these called spreadsheet games, where if you love Excel, like where you just keep a spreadsheet document of all the items you find and monsters you take down. If you're into that type of game, this is the game for you. Um, but this is kind of, I would say this is looked at as like kind of like a first party game, in that Nintendo wouldn't want to release any of their first party software around it, because it has a huge fan base and probably expecting this to sell really well and don't want to compete with that at all.
Yeah.
Seems like that's kind of their big release for the month of March.
Yeah, and it is Switch exclusive, which is definitely why they're pushing it. Yeah, and if anyone is listening to this and they and they can, you know, recommend us to, explain Monster Hunter a little bit more, maybe to get us into it, cuz like I'm kind of the same way. I picked up I played one Monster Hunter once, and I just couldn't play it for, it just kind of seemed like this loop of you get gear, you go find a monster, kill it, and then repeat. And I didn't play it long enough to, probably fully understand what everyone loves about it so much. So I would love for, I would love to get it. I would love to like understand it more, because I know that it's a huge, has a huge fan base. So um, yeah, that looks cool. There is a demo out right now on the eShop. And then on April 30th is Pokemon Snap, and this one is developed by Bandai Namco, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, I think the timing is right for a new Pokemon Snap. I know a lot of people were hoping this would come to the Wii U in some form, just because it seemed like such a perfect fit with the Wii U gamepad. But happy it's coming to Switch now. I think a lot of the people who played the original Pokemon Snap on N64 now are like in their 30s or late 20s and have a Switch and want that nostalgia of going back to take photos of their favorite Pokemon. This looks, obviously it's a brand new game. Says it right there in the title, new Pokemon Snap.
Yeah,
But I think people are going to be excited to go back and play Pokemon Snap again.
yeah. And you know, I think it looks beautiful. It looks probably better than anything the Pokemon or like Game Freak has actually made themselves. I think the like graphics wise, for anyone who didn't play the older ones, people who aren't in their 30s, um, it's you're like it's like an on rail where you're in a cart and it automatically drives you, and you have to take these pictures of different Pokemon, and you have to do. It's kind of almost hard to explain. You have to do certain things to get Pokemon to do jump in the fire or something like that. So yeah, that it's really it's more fun than just taking pictures. There's more to it. It's more of a game. But what I am really curious about is I loved that game when I was a kid, and I'm just interested to see if I'll love it as much now. I'm hoping that I
Yeah,
do. The only thing is that it's really about replayability, because you keep doing this. You want to keep doing the levels over and over, and I'm just hoping I still have the patience to do that, because I used to be
yeah,
able to like play a level over and over and over. And I looked it up, and in the first one there was only 7 levels, and they were about 5 minutes each, and you would just do it over and over and over. But you would kind of learn, because you'd think take a picture of everything, but then it'd say at the end, "Oh, you missed this," so then you had to go back and find those. So yeah, I'm just hoping that there's either more levels, or I just have more patience than I think I do.
yeah. That's a good point. I don't know if I'm going to want to play the same Pokemon Snap levels over and over again just to 100% this game, or if I'll just breeze through one time on each level, just take enough photos to unlock the next world and keep going until I'm done. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, it's not super easy. Hopefully, there's a little. I can remember there being a little bit of a challenge with finding every Pokemon
Yeah,
in
there
this
definitely
N64
was.
one.
Yeah.
hopefully they keep that and don't dumb it down too much. But yeah, really excited about that. Expecting that to be a huge seller for Nintendo and the Pokemon Company.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and then in May, there's a few ones. On the 14th, May 14th, there's Famicom Detective Club. Um,
Yeah, there's Famicom Detective Club: The Missing Heir and Famicom Detective Club: The Girl Who Stands Behind. These are visual graphic novel games originally released in the late 1980s on the NES or Famicom. And these were actually announced in, I think, 2019 as a Japan only release. But now that they've kind of been announced again, we found out they're getting a US release, which is kind of cool to see these smaller niche titles get localized for an American release. I don't know if I'm going to pick these up because I don't really want to sit and read a visual graphic novel on my Switch, but I'm sure some people are going to want to take a look at this and see like some cool games from Nintendo's past.
yeah, the plots are you'll solve a complex murder case surrounding a wealthy family in a haunted village while dealing with amnesia.
Hell yeah. Kids, kids, tell your parents you want
Yeah,
Famicom Detective Club.
yeah. I watched the trailer again and like, um, it does look pretty good. So like I don't know. Obviously, I didn't play this in I think it was 1988, but it seems like it's
Yeah,
completely like they just completely remade it because it looks pretty good. I was once I kind of looked back at it, it looked really good. So yeah, but I'm the same way. I don't think I'm gonna be. I don't think I'm gonna be picking that up.
no, I don't think so. But it's again glad to see it coming out here.
Yeah. And then on the May 21st, we have Metopia, which was a 3DS game. Um, so this was a turn-based adventure RPG, and it's obviously Mies, but I think it's you have four characters, and I think you build your own team. So you all four of them, you build what they look like, and they can be different characters like a thief, a mage, which are like the normal things, but then they can be like a pop star or a chef or a cat or something like that, and they have different skills.
Nice.
So I think it's like I think you said the term an RPG light is kind of what I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. Um, it looks kind of cool. I might have they announced if this is going to be $60 or if this is like a forty
I
dollar
think it's
game
40.
or oh cool yeah okay I might pick this up for $40 then. Um, from what I read, it looks like there have been a few additions to this from the 3DS release. Other than like the graphical overhaul, they added horses to the game. Didn't play the 3DS, so I don't know what that means, but we're getting horses.
Means there's horses.
There's going to be more character customization options, which is always cool in RPG type games. The more you can customize your character, the better it is, in my opinion.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I will say when this was first kind of announced, obviously I like it didn't it didn't really appeal to me. But what I have kind of started to think about is this is actually the first I think this is the first 3DS game that got a full upres to HD.
Oh wow,
So um, kind of
really? That
I
just kind of blew my mind a little bit.
yeah I think so. And so like and from I kind of was looking into it, and there's like I guess some developers when they made 3DS, like when you're making like a game for the 3DS, you usually are making it in more like HD, and then it's
Scaled down.
yeah, scaled down for the 3DS. So I could be somewhat wrong there, but I don't think it was like this huge process of remaking this entirely. So that
Yeah,
kind of just brings to light now that there's that possibility as well. There's 3DS games that can be upres to HD quality for the Switch. So
yeah. Samus Returns next, please.
that would be great. Um,
Yeah.
and then on the 28th, we have World's End Club. And I think we both don't know much about this. I looked it up. It's a puzzle action adventure, and it sounds like there was a cliffhanger version of it that was released on the Apple Arcade in September, and they kind of said like the full thing will be released in the spring. So if you played that, you can get the full thing.
Yeah, Nintendo did talk about this in their direct in February, so I think they're expecting there to be sort of a niche audience for this one, and hopefully it does well. I don't know, don't know much about it. Don't know if I'll be getting that one. In June, we're gonna get the first DLC pack for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. We don't have a date for it yet, but it has been confirmed for June 2021. Um, we could talk about that more later in the Zelda 35 discussion, but that'll be a good release for people who enjoyed that game.
Yeah, I do find it. We'll talk about it later, but I find it sneakingly suspicious that they kept the screen up on that direct for like 2 seconds of what it was and didn't describe at all. Like, it seems like they need to go
Yeah,
into further detail.
yeah. All right. We'll just talk about it now because they tried. They were like pre-order now to get what is it? A free like a bonus item. It's like a new weapon for Link and a new costume for Link. And that's if you pre-order now, not knowing what the DLC pack entails. So you
Yeah,
give them money for something that you don't know what you're getting, but you do know you're going to get a weapon and a costume for $20 or however much it is. It's either 20 or 30. But yeah, I don't think that's a great idea. I would suggest holding on to your money until you actually know what you're going to what you're going to get. So
yeah.
but I actually just beat this game today. This game's amazing. I'm gonna wait until I hear what the DLC pack is to actually buy it. But if you haven't played Age of Calamity, it's really, really great game.
Nice.
Yeah. Uh, June 10th, we're gonna be getting Ninja Gaiden Master Collection, and this is Ninja Gaiden Sigma, Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, and Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. I played Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden Black on Xbox. From what I understand, these are similar, but obviously not the same games. I really enjoyed those, the two that I played, and this should be a pretty good collection for people that like the Ninja Gaiden series. Glad to see this one coming to Switch.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get this. I like. I played the Ninja Gaiden games, a few of them, but I never like sat down and like played them all the way through. I think I just kind of messed around with them. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
Um, then on June 24th, they're doing a Legend of Mana remake. And this looks awesome to me. At least like the graphics, I think it's really cool. It's a remake of a PlayStation game, but the graphics are really like almost like a painting. And so this is another one that I didn't really know much about, so I kind of looked into it, and I've played the other Mana games, and this seems really different. And so something that I kind of learned about it, it's really different in the sense that there's not like a you kind of start out and you don't there's not like a plot right away. You just kind of are in a town, and it's this big empty map, and you kind of go around and do tasks for people, and by doing tasks for people you're able to build out the map more and get new towns, and there's more tasks for you to do. So there's not like some big bad villain. It's kind of just you're like building a town by doing tasks, or building a world, I should say, by doing tasks. From what I understand, I could be somewhat wrong, but yeah, it looks cool.
I'm looking at some screenshots now. This game looks beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
definitely
awesome.
going to pick this one up.
Yeah, and I think it's just like I think they used the same like it's the same graphics, and then they just completely redid the backgrounds, which is awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool art style.
Yeah, yeah, I think it looks
Nice.
great.
On June 25th, we
We got the
have
big one.
Mario Golf, the big one, Mario Golf Super Rush. I'm ecstatic for this game. I cannot wait. Been waiting on Mario Golf for the Switch for a long time. It's the first new home console Mario Golf game since the Mario Golf released on GameCube in 2003. So nearly a 20-year wait
Which is
just to get
nuts.
Mario Golf on a Nintendo home console.
Yeah, why?
Um, I thought for sure we would get it on the Wii. I thought for sure we'd get it on Wii U. It just made too much sense with the Wiimotes and the motion controls, which this has, but you don't have to use it. Thank
And
God.
how successful Wii Sports was.
Yeah, you thought they would just put Mario's head on Wii Sports and add a
Yeah,
story mode, and there you have Mario Golf. But
yeah.
um, I thought we would get Mario games for all those Wii Sports games, like Mario Bowling. But yeah, we didn't. We didn't get any of that. But now we finally get Mario Golf Super Rush. Looks like a lot of fun. There's a story mode. Hell yeah. There is a new speed rush or speed golf mode that looks like a lot of fun, chaotic multiplayer uh, stuff going on. From what I saw in the direct, in the trailer, in the direct, everybody tees off at the same time, and then it's sort of a race to see who can get their ball in the hole first. And there's like power ups along the way, and just looks like a really fun, really cool entry in the Mario Golf series.
I'm really hoping that it's almost like Mario Kart in the sense of like when you tee off, then you're running, like you get like shells or something that you can throw at people. Um,
Yeah,
that would be amazing. That's kind of what I'm thinking it is, and I'm hoping that that's what it is. Also with that story mode, it looks like it has kind of like RPG elements, whereas you're kind of like your own me, and then you're building up your character. Which it sounds like that was the first time they've done this since the I think Game Boy Color version of it, which everyone said was just absolutely amazing. Um,
oh yeah. I had
and
that Game Boy Color version. It was a lot of fun. A
yeah,
lot of hours on that one.
and I loved on the Switch. I loved Golf Story, so I'm hoping
Oh yeah.
it's something like kind of a mix between those two. That would be amazing. And you know, we've kind of talked about like we the last this is made by Camelot, and I'm pretty sure they've done a lot. They've done all the Mario Golf games. So and everyone's always said that every single Mario Golf game was amazing. Like they've never really gone wrong with the Mario
Yeah.
Golf. And they also did they also did tennis last year or the other year, a couple years ago. And for me, I thought it was good, but it was one of those things where once I played it for maybe a good month, I played it like every day for a month, and then I was just burnt out, and I've never touched it since. So I really don't think I'm really hoping that that's not the case with this, and I don't think it will be because golf is so relaxing and like so. I don't know. I just don't see it being the same.
Yeah, I remember those online tournaments for Mario Tennis I got really into, and then I just kind of, yeah, like you said, kind of burnt out on it. I thought Mario Tennis Aces was a pretty cool game. I'm glad that they got a Mario Sports title out relatively quickly in the Switch life cycle. Um, Fun game. It did seem like it was kind of rushed though. There were some elements of that game that seemed unfinished. Like I can remember when you win a match and like in the story mode, it'll show a treasure chest or I forget a block, a Mario block or something opening up, and then the camera kind of pans up like you're supposed to see what item you get, but it's just a there's nothing there, and then it'll just come up in font or like in text what item you got.
Yeah.
Seemed kind of clunky. There were some weird clunky things going on with that game, but seems like it was rushed a little bit. Maybe they did rush it because they did have that Mario Tennis on Wii U kind of later in the Wii U life
Mm.
cycle, so maybe they carried some assets over, and who knows? Whatever. We're getting golf the end
We're
of
getting
June.
golf. That's all that matters. And bring
Yeah.
every other sport, especially American football.
Yeah. If they make Mario American football, it'll never happen, but there's just not the global audience for that. But if they did make that, wow, what a dream come true. If anybody hasn't seen it, just Google Mario American Football. There's some really cool mock-ups on the web that you can check out. And if you're a fan of football, you're gonna really like what you see because it looks like a great game that doesn't exist.
Yes. So then the next big release is in July, Skyward Sword HD. So I'm really excited for this. I would say I know there's a lot of like kind of people have differing opinions on Skyward Sword. I would say personally, I liked it. It's probably my least favorite of the 3D Zeldas, but I still really liked it a lot. I would say there's really only a few problems I had with it. The motion controls, and it wasn't so much. Everyone kind of talks about the motion controls, but for me, it wasn't so much actually having to use motion controls that really didn't bug me that much. It was more so that it didn't work right. You would have to like the only way you could kill an enemy is if you swung diagonally left to right, up or up left and right, but then the sword would
Oh,
go a different direction, and it just got so frustrating. So I really hated that. And then the other thing was there isn't as much of an overworld, and that's because it's supposed to be this. It's supposed to be pre all the other games. It's the prequel. It's the very first one in like a timeline, and so they all lived in the clouds. And so I I wanted it to be like Wind Waker, where it's like sure you have an island and then you fly, and everywhere you go, there's like little islands with towns and things like that. But it really wasn't like that. There was like I don't know, you'd fly and there wasn't that much in the sky. You pretty much would just drop down into another world, into another like mission in a sense. So those were two problems, but overall, I still thought it was good. The dungeons were really great. They're some of the best in the entire series. So I really like that, and I'm excited for it.
yeah. I'm excited to jump back into this. Skyward Sword came out on the Wii 10 years ago. Um, it was kind of rough in the direct back in February how this got introduced because we saw Eiji Onuma come on screen with his black background, like the traditional way he's been addressing the audience, and he just goes, "I know after seeing me, you probably expected news about Breath of the Wild 2, but you're not gonna get it. But here's a
Yeah,
Wii game that you should get excited for." And I was like, "Oh." It was like a roller coaster. Like, "Oh, here he is." Nope, Wii game. But anyway, it is a Zelda game and it's coming to the Switch, so I'm excited about that. When this came out originally, I was too too deep into Skyrim to pull myself away to give this a fair shot. I think I played maybe 5 or 6 hours of it. I didn't get very far into it, but from what I did play, I was like, this is fine. I don't really like the waggle Wii controls. So when they did announce that this is going to have button controls, you can tilt the stick to swing the sword rather than use motion. There's motion as well, but yeah, when they said that this will have button controls, that made me very happy. I'm a little skeptical about how that stick swinging is going to go, but it's better than motion. Yeah, I'm glad this one's coming out, and hopefully we can talk about this at the end. But hopefully this gets folded into the bigger picture here, which is the Zelda 35th celebration.
yeah, I think it will. Uh, yeah, I definitely think it
I
will.
think they kind of wanted to get this announcement out of the way, for lack of a better term. Like they just wanted to give us some Zelda because they know everyone's thirsty for it, but they didn't want to give us the big stuff. So they said, "Here's the Wii one HD remake."
And I also think that there's a big what's the word? There's a big kerfuffle online about it being $60, and like
Yeah,
um, I don't have a problem with that, but I also think I could see that maybe that they wanted to get this out of the way because this is $60, and I'm thinking that maybe there'll be some sort of collection of multiple games then that is $60, and so you'd want you
yeah.
don't want to announce a collection that's $60 with multiple games and then this one standalone that's $60. But I think that's just because they've never done an HD remake of this one and they have of other games, so I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No, I mean I'm definitely gonna buy it. $60. Anytime Nintendo releases a new Zelda game or a remastered Zelda game on the Switch, I'll pay whatever. They really got me uh, on they got me on the hook. I'll just buy whatever. I know that one thing to point out, people are upset because like um, Series X has smart delivery. So if you bought a game on your One X or your 360, Xbox, and you have a Series X now, you can get a new version of that game that takes advantage of the Series X hardware for free, like a free upgrade. And that's awesome. That's a really cool feature of the Series X, and a really cool service offered by Microsoft. So to see Nintendo just, you know, upres a Wii game and add stick controls to it and then charge $60, I mean, it does suck, but I do expect it. So I'm not mad about it. And hopefully in the
Yeah.
future they get some kind of better system for this, but Nintendo just makes too much money on their legacy games to give it away for free on new consoles. They'll sell it no matter what.
Yeah, and I'll pay $60 no matter what. So
Every time. Every time.
yeah,
I'll
so
probably buy it again 10 years from now on whatever's
yeah,
out at that
when it's
point.
HDD.
Yeah, it's 4K Skyward Sword, and that you
Yeah.
could finally swing your sword by pressing the A button.
um. All right, then in August we have No More Heroes 3. Um, I know neither of us have really played this series too much. Um, I think I'm gonna give this one a try. I've been thinking about it. How about you?
Haven't played a No More Heroes game. I know there's a pretty big. I don't even know if you could call it a cult following because it's kind of too big for that. But there's a pretty good fan base for the No More Heroes games. I haven't played any of them, but I'm excited for the people who are looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and honestly, I um the only reason I really haven't is it's something about like the art doesn't grab me as much. So,
Yeah,
but sometimes, this is another one where if like people, if I can get explained what's so awesome about it, then it could make me
yeah.
more interested in trying it out.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know anybody who plays these games, so
Yeah, I don't know,
yeah.
but I know that there
If I knew
are.
somebody who loved them, and then they could tell me why, hey, drop us an email at goodmorninggamespodcast@gmail.com.
There you go. Drop us an email. All right, then so then everything else, that's everything that we have dated. That was in August 23rd. And so the rest of the year, all we have confirmed is the Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I believe. Um,
Yep.
and so yeah, so I'm excited for these. There was kind of like controversy, I guess you'd say, about the graphics from what I've seen online. People are kind of maybe not happy necessarily about the chibi. I mean, it's kind of going both ways. I see people saying both. I like it. I
I
like
think
the
it's
top
great.
down. Yeah, I like the top down look of it. It's more so like keeping it how it was on the Game Boy. Which I, the thing is that I think people
The
like
DS. Weren't these DS games?
yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
people were expecting it to be like Sword and Shield, but I also think if it would have been like Sword and Shield graphics, people would have been pissed off too.
Yeah, I agree. I think these games have always been sort of the chibi art style, but it was just smaller, so nobody really noticed. And now that it's blown up and kind of more in your face, people are kind of like, "What? That's what it looks like."
Yeah.
But
Um,
yeah, I'm really excited for these.
yeah. I never played Diamond or Pearl. I played Let's see, Gen 1 was when I was in like third or fourth grade, and I was obsessed with that. And then I had Gen 2, and then after Gen 2, I like didn't play any of them until I think X and Y, and then I did X and Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield. But so I missed a bunch of generations. So I've heard a lot of people say
Yeah.
this is one of the best ones. So I'm really excited about that.
Yep. I have a cousin who's a huge Pokemon fan, and he says Diamond and Pearl are his favorite ones. So that's like for the No More Heroes thing. He told me why he loves these, and now I'm excited to try them. So yeah, pretty pumped for these.
Nice. So that's that right now is all that we have completely confirmed.
We have for 2021 with no release date other than the year. We're getting Shin Megami Tensei 5 at some point this year, hopefully after years of waiting. This was announced in 2017 or 18, I think. It's been a while. I haven't played this series, so I mean, I know there's a lot of people really waiting for it.
Yeah, so everything I've heard about this, I'm gonna try it out. So they're also doing a re-release of Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, which is supposedly that's the most popular one, I think, is from what I've heard. And it was supposed to be spring. We'll see. There isn't a date yet for it, but I kind of looked into this because I wanted to learn more about it because I saw that there was so many people excited about it, and pretty much everyone describes it as adult Pokemon. Um,
Yeah,
I guess it's like you go in dungeons and things and you catch monsters pretty much, but they're actually like scary looking monsters and like they have like death, like
yeah,
actual killing, and they don't just faint. So yeah,
yeah.
I'm probably gonna try that out. I think I'm gonna get the um, number three remake whenever that comes out because people said that was the best, so I'm excited to try that out.
Cool. Yeah, I might jump into that. Um, and then we also have, well, there's the other Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity DLC coming in November. Again, no clue what it is. And then we're going to get, at some point this year, Diablo 2 Resurrected, a completely remade, remastered. Is it a remake or a remaster? I don't know. I think it's a remake. It's coming to every console, including Switch, in 2021. Might get released later on Switch because that's kind of a pattern, but we'll see. And then we're also getting Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 at some point this year. I think it's coming in March for PS5 and Series X, and then they said at a later date for Nintendo Switch. So those are two pretty big releases.
Nice. Then there's two that I'm excited about. Two indie games I'm excited about. Axiom Verge 2. It's supposed to be. I believe it's coming. I think April or spring. I know it's coming on like PC in like April, so I think it's coming to Switch then too. I just played the first one last year. It's very very similar to Super Metroid. I loved it. The first one was like Super Metroid in the sense that it was like underground and dark and gray. The colors were like gray, white, black. And so the second one, it takes place more outside, so it's really colorful, which I think is really cool because it's like it looks like it's like the same gameplay and everything, but it feels way different. So I'm excited to play that. And then the other game, which has doesn't have a release date, but pretty much everyone thinks it's going to be this year, is Hollow Knight Silk Song, which is the sequel to Hollow Knight. And Hollow
Mm,
Knight is probably my the favorite Metroidvania I've ever played.
wow.
I love the music, the atmosphere. The bosses are amazing. Just everything about it. I loved it. So I'm really excited for the next one.
Yeah, I haven't played Axiom Verge or Hollow Knight, but love Super Metroid, love Metroidvania, so might need to give those a shot if I could find a window between other games I'm getting through. And then we also have Baron Breakfast.
Which was in the indie
uh,
showcase.
yeah, in the indie showcase. We both saw this game and thought it looked awesome. It's kind of like a Stardew Valley village management or town management type of game. It just looks chill as hell and really cool graphics and art style. I think it's just got a 2021 release date or maybe no release date. I think maybe 2021 for Steam and then eventually to Switch. But yeah, that looks like a fun one. Just wanted to shout that one out. And then the three big ones that have no release date are Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime 4, and Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Who knows?
Yeah,
Honestly,
I think Metroid Prime 4 will not be this year.
I I think that's a 2023 game.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly,
Probably.
I agree. Holiday 2023.
Bayonetta 3, couldn't tell you. I don't know. You played the other Bayonettas,
Yep.
didn't
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, I played them. I'm not super crazy about that. I'm not super crazy about that style. It's kind of just like really fast paced fighting from one to the next. Like as soon as you're done with one fight, you go to the next fight.
Like a
A lot of
boss
people love.
rush type.
Yeah, like a lot of people love it though. I played them. they were all right, but yeah, I know everyone's really excited about the third one, but it was announced like over 2 years ago, and there's just
At the
been
Game Awards,
zero.
right?
Yeah, and there's been zero news since. They just dropped like a yeah. There's been nothing since, so who knows when that's coming.
And then just looking ahead, 2022 early, we're gonna get Pokemon Legends Arceus, and then later in the year, presumably later in the year, will be Project Triangle Strategy and Splatoon 3, which were both announced at the February Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, I played the Project Triangle Strategy demo. It's amazing. I loved Octopath Traveler. That was like my favorite game of 2018.
Yeah.
And I really like this too. I hate the name. And then Pokemon Legends Arceus. That looks amazing. I know people were kind of complaining about how the frame rate looks, but I'm not. I don't really care about that. I know it'll get fixed. I'm just the my. It looks amazing to me. It's everything that everyone's wanted. I'm hoping that the world is a little more expansive. I know it's like supposed to be prequel and before any of society is really there, but I just hope there's stuff to do because from the
Yeah.
trailer it looked really empty. But
Yeah.
it could have just it's so early that I'm sure they just wanted to show it off, and so I have confidence that there will be. But so I'm really excited for that.
It's probably, I mean, they said early 2022, so it's probably 1 year away. It's probably like early March, late
Yeah,
February.
yeah,
But yeah, that game has all the potential in the world. It looks really cool. If you look online, a lot of people are comparing it to Breath of the Wild. They even copied one of the zoom in shots that's like identical to the one in the Breath of the Wild trailer. The music was minimal style, just like Breath of the Wild. Um, but it is definitely the best looking Pokemon game I've ever seen. Like, looks like the environments look really cool. Um, hopefully it's good. I don't know.
yeah. And then we also have Fall Guys is coming in the summer, which
Oh yeah,
yeah, I know a lot of people are thinking that that'll get give the online community kind of a boost, and I definitely think it will. I think it's like I haven't played it. I know you have. To me, it looks like Mario Party without the boards, just the mini games. So I think that's perfect for the Switch.
yeah. That's a pretty good description. Really fun game on PS5. Still can get matched into a game really quickly. So there are some people playing it, but it's not nearly as popular as it was when it had that big moment last year where everyone was playing it and it was all over social media. But yeah, still a really fun game. Glad that one's coming to Switch. Um, that brings us to the Zelda 35th anniversary, which is kind of the elephant in the room for this whole thing, this whole calendar.
Yes. What do we think is gonna happen? What do you think is gonna happen?
Well, the February Direct said it was going to focus on games that were releasing in the first half of 2021. And it did for the most part, but there were a few later games, obviously. And the only Zelda game we got was Skyward Sword HD. Um, so I mean, if you Google Zelda 35, there's a lot of smoke around more Zelda releases coming this year. Um, so I think we're going to see more of them. But as far as when they announced this whole plan, we're still in the Mario 35th anniversary until the end of March. So I think that's why they didn't want to acknowledge the Zelda anniversary yet. They want to wrap up this Mario one, and then they'll go full steam ahead on the Zelda one. I personally would expect an announcement. I'm flip flopping on this. I think we're going to get an announcement in April for Zelda. I think they're going to close this anniversary with Mario. A few weeks later, a month later, boom, we're going with the Zelda anniversary, and they're going to show off tons of merch and announce a Twilight Princess Wind Waker HD pack for $60. Hopefully, launch it in May. Skyward Sword in July, and then Breath of the Wild 2 in the fall or December around there.
That
I
is
think
the
that's what's going to
dream.
happen.
That's the
And then
dream.
also also Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask make their way to the Switch Online in some form, whether it's straight to the eShop or N64 games get added to the online service. I think they're going to be there by the end of the year.
Yeah. So I pretty much agree with all that. I um am very confident that there'll be a Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD dual pack probably for $60. And man, I keep going back and forth. I want there to be a direct in April, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. I'm thinking it's gonna be June, but I could see it being April, and I want it to be April. So that's what I'm hoping for right now.
Yeah,
And I'm hoping for either the. I'm thinking that maybe at some point in this that direct say that N64 is now on online, and that's when, like you said, Wind Waker or Ocarina are up. But also,
Majora's Mask.
yes, yeah, Ocarina and Majora's Mask, but also kind of going back to what we had said about the Metopia and the uprising. It is. I'm not expecting it, but it is possible that we could get an upresed Ocarina or Majora because those were remade for the 3DS. Um, so in the same way, I've seen like online, I've seen people who just did it on their own, upres the 3DS versions, and it looks amazing. So I'm not really counting on that, but that would be amazing as well because those are some of my favorite games ever. So God willing, let's get Breath of the Wild 2 for holiday with the
Yeah,
new Switch. I just don't see ever. We'll talk about this on a later one, but everyone's kind of talking about this Switch Pro or whatever, and I just can't see them releasing that. The only way it has to release with Breath of the Wild 2. So,
yeah.
so I'm really hoping that that's the end of this year.
I agree about the Breath of the Wild 2 releasing alongside the Super Switch or Switch Pro or whatever you want to call it. Um, I I think it just makes too much sense. They saw such huge success with the original Switch and Breath of the Wild releasing side by side in March 2017. For a while, I was thinking March 2022, and then 2022 was going to be this whole redo of 2017 with new console and Zelda in March, and then Splatoon in the summer, and then Mario Odyssey 2 in the holiday, which would be great. But based
It'd
on
be
some of the
great.
other stuff, it'd be great. Based on some of the other stuff I'm seeing online, I think Breath of the Wild 2 coming at this holiday with the new Switch. I so what some people were worried about was the Age of Calamity DLC releasing in November. They thought the thought was, well, they're not going to do Breath of the Wild 2 with a Zelda release, already in November. But we don't even know what that DLC is.
Yeah.
This could be, they didn't say anything about it. There could be a story link between, no pun intended. God, I hate that I just said that. Um, like a story connection between Age of Calamity and Breath of the Wild 2 in the DLC that comes out in November. And that could be great timing for it. It could be any number of reasons, but it just feels like a big holiday game. And unless it's really not ready, I think it's going to come out the end of this year with the new Switch.
Yeah, I also think it's important to note that the Legends Arceus was early 2022, and there's no way they're going to release Breath of the Wild 2 and Legends Arceus in like a month period of each other. So I can't see them both being early 2022. So it's got to be this year.
That's true.
It's
Yeah.
got to be the end of this year. And one other thing we didn't talk about is I think we both think that there's going to be a 2D Metroid or some sort of Metroid this year as well. It's got to be that October slot. Nothing's for October. That's exactly what that fits perfectly.
Yeah. that feels like a great game for the holiday. Um, New 2D Metroid. There's been a lot of smoke around that for about a year now. I thought we might see it in 2020, but I'm sure COVID messed up the schedule in all kinds of ways that we'll like never know about. But yeah, Metroid, new 2D Metroid for this fall, this October, that feels kind of on the level of like maybe a Luigi's Mansion release, like where it's not your big game, but it's a very good game to have in the holidays, alongside something like Breath of the Wild and then Pokemon remakes. That feels, I mean, Shining Diamond, Brilliant Pearl, Pokemon versions, Metroid 2D, a new 2D Metroid, and then Breath of the Wild 2 for this holiday. That would be incredible. I'd be
Yeah.
more than happy with that lineup for October through December.
Yes. Please God.
And I think it would be Metroid October, Breath of the Wild 2 November, Shining Diamond, Brilliant Pearl December.
Yeah. That sounds
Put
good
it
to
on the
me. And
record.
yeah, put it on the record. I'll buy everything. And
Yeah, I'll buy it all. And we didn't even mention those Zelda Joy-Con coming out alongside Skyward Sword HD. Gonna
yeah, I'll
buy
buy those
those.
too. I'll buy those
Nintendo's
too.
got us.
Yeah. They'll end up drifting, but I'll love them.
Yeah.
uh, so with that, I think that concludes everything for the year.
So, Jason, what are you playing right now?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I'm mainly playing right now Bravely Default 2. That just came out last week. That's really all I've been playing since it came out. But prior to that, right before it came out, I was planning on playing every single Zelda game this year. That's my goal. I mean, my goal is to play every single Zelda game. So I beat the
Are you
original.
including Hyrule Warriors in that?
Yes, I will. I will play that as
Wow.
well. I beat the first one, the NES version, without using a strategy guide, which I've never done before. So I like was just bombing everything because I know there's secret walls. But I was able to do it, and then I had started a Link to the Past, and I was about halfway through, and then Bravely Default 2 came out. So as soon as I finish Bravely Default, I'll go back and get back to beating every damn Zelda game. How about you?
uh, that's awesome. Great goal for the year. So, like I said, I just finished Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity today, beat the final boss today. That was an awesome experience. I love that game way more than I thought I would. Because I didn't really like the original Hyrule Warriors. I thought it was okay. But just the story in this Age of Calamity game really hooked me. So just wrapped that. I'm still finishing up Bowser's Fury as part of the Mario 3D World game, and also playing a lot of Call of Duty Cold War Zombies on my PS5, and a
Nice.
little bit of Donkey Kong Country 3 on the Switch, Super Nintendo Online.
Nice.
Yeah, nice rounded out gaming selection of games there.
Yes, beautiful. That's great. Thank you for listening. I'm Jason,
And I'm Alex.
and we are Good Morning Games. Thank you very much.